Yes, today we're going to be talking about copywriting. So I'm going to be creating this video for you so you get a good feeling and a good understanding on how to write copy and how to write copy for LinkedIn. Now, I'm not sure if you're completely new to copywriting or maybe you've written emails before or some stuff on Instagram. Regardless of where you're at this moment when it comes to your copywriting skills, this is going to be a good and educational module for you because LinkedIn has its own particular way of writing copy and posting posts. So we're going to dive into it. I'm going to give you a good understanding of just like copywriting in general, but also copywriting for LinkedIn. So just to not waste any more time, let's dive in and start off with how to write good copy and how to write good posts. Obviously, we have the content calendar in place for the 6-week Lead Gen Accelerator Challenge, which will give you good inspiration and a good framework and a good outline for the 6 weeks on what type of content to create and how to divide these types of content. But if you're going to be creating content by yourself, maybe also after the challenge, the first thing you want to think about when it comes to planning your content and also writing your post is like, what is the objective of my post going to be? Because different post types have different types of objectives, and this also depends on like your own objective for your LinkedIn and for your content strategy. So perhaps you are starting off with 0 followers and your objective would be to gain a lot of new followers, a lot of new reach, which would make sense, right? You don't want to be selling if you have 0 followers, if you're just starting off on LinkedIn. So then your objective would most likely be to inspire a lot of people and to build a connection with them by educating them and perhaps entertaining them. So your focus would be more on inspirational and educational and entertaining posts. Now maybe you have built a lot of attention and then your focus can shift more towards persuading and selling. And this doesn't mean that if your focus is on persuading or selling that you should only be selling for like 2 months, because then people are going to get tired of your content, right? Same if you want to be building your audience, if you're going to be building your following base, you don't only want to be sharing inspirational and educational content. There should be a good mix, but per post type it's of importance to think like, why am I writing this post and what's the objective of this post? This will help you to also fine-tune your messaging and also to vary your content throughout the week. I usually look at it in like batches per week, or like what type of content I want to put in the week. And overall, I look at it in time frames of about 2 months. I build my attention for about 2 months, and then I start to sell and persuade more for like 2 to 3 weeks, what I call promo cycles. So what's an inspirational post? An inspirational post is something that people enjoy reading, usually has a broader target audience. It's not specifically only for your ideal target audience, it's for people to feel inspired by reading your post and want to further follow you. Educational posts are, as it says, you're teaching your audience something. The 5 tips, the 3 lessons, your 3 insights of an entrepreneur. So you're positioning yourself here as the authority figure and you're educating your target audience. Entertaining posts are more polarization posts, an outspoken opinion that you might have that people just enjoy reading, you know, maybe where people go like, oof, this guy has or this girl has like an outspoken opinion or something that I've been thinking but haven't really found the courage maybe to express myself. So entertaining posts, which can also help you to build your tribe in that sense. And selling and persuading posts are, well, as it says, hand-raising posts. Send me a DM, download or request my freebie, or DM me for more information about my program. So in this case, you're selling more. So the first question you want to be asking yourself when you're going to be creating a post is like, what's the objective of this post? I just wanted to give that to you, and here down below I put like an overview of like the different KPIs and different types also that go together with the inspire, educate, entertain, persuade, and sell. I will leave it here for you to further have a look at perhaps after the video, but think about like the objective of the post that you are writing and the different post types that you will be posting throughout the week. You don't only want to be inspiring, you don't only want to be selling. Now, the most important elements of your post, if we're going to be breaking down a post, they usually consist of these different elements on LinkedIn. Now, copywriting is broad, so there's a lot of different copywriting styles, a lot of different copywriting frameworks, but in general, I want you to have a look at these, I think there's these six elements within your post, so you have a good understanding of like what the buildup of such a post is about. So if you have a look at this post, for instance, let me take this one as an example. What you see, it's the hook. That's this part, right? This part is the hook. That's the first thing that people will see. So if I would go to my timeline, if I would go here, this is really the most important thing of your post, right? People would see this, and this really needs to be triggering enough, creating enough curiosity for people to further click through on see more. So depending if they're reading it on desktop or mobile, you would see more, you would see less. So on desktop, you would see the 2 lines, and I could show you probably on mobile. Yes, so this is a tool called Authored Up, which I use, which I find very useful for styling purposes. So I just copy pasted this post and put it into Authored Up. So here you can see on mobile, this is the only part that you would see, right? And on desktop, this is what you would see. Now obviously there's a white line in between here. So on mobile, you would see the first 2 lines, but this doesn't look too nice. So when I write, then I write that this looks nicely on 1 line and is triggering enough. On desktop, you would see this. So this is what we call the hook. This is what we call the rehook. So we want to be spending time and attention on your hook and on your rehook. Now, if you click on this link here, there's a viral hook template that I put together with a lot of inspirational hooks that you can use for your copywriting. Right? So here's a lot of like different categories where you can find inspiration from. Numbers obviously work very well because like the brain wants to understand like what are the 6 things that you would do differently or the 3 mistakes. So there's different ways of like creating curiosity, same as like using power words in your hooks. So your hook here and your rehook are of importance. So think about curiosity, power, emotion that you can use here in your hook and in your rehook. And the other important thing is styling, right? So styling is basically the whole way that the message has been put together. So what you can see here, there's a lot of white lines. There's this bold of the lesson number 1, lesson number 2, lesson number 3. There's some bullet points here, and overall it just looks nice. There's not too much text in here. Also here you can see on Authored Up, right? It just looks clean and nice like this. You can see like this makes it more difficult to read, right? Like this doesn't read nicely. So you want to play around with the white lines. You want to play around with longer sentences, shorter sentences, maybe some bold. I'm not a fan of too much bold, but if it's a longer text, then this can help your reader. So overall people scan more than they actually read. Bullet points are powerful. So this is what we mean with styling. Like how can you style your messaging in such a way that it looks nice to the eye to read. Bullet points are important if you want to bring your message across. It's not a requirement it depends on your post type, right? Often if you're educating people, you're using different points to bring across. These can be bullet points like these, or these can be just your main takeaways or lessons. Now look here at bullet points. This is like a slide, right? So you categorize them basically from like shorter sentences to more longer sentences. This also looks nice, again coming to like the styling part, the formatting part of your post. So your bullet points help you to bring your message across. Here again, bullet points. Your closing message, again here I have a template for how you want to end your post, end your message, because in most of the posts that you're telling, you want to bring your message across to people. And often what people do is they would read the 3 lessons that I learned from my dating photographer, right? This is a curiosity triggering hook where people go like, 3 lessons from you. Wait, what's a dating photographer, and why are you, what lessons have you learned from your dating photographer? What 3, right? So the brain wants to understand which 3 lessons they are. And then the re-hook here is that you can apply in your business today. And then the conclusion is, right, my takeaway, your packaging presentation matters. Ask yourself, what's the one thing you want to be known for? How can you make your profile more attractive? And what's your irresistible offer? And once you answer these and implement it, you become the go-to expert in your industry. P.S. Do you think dating photography is a weird concept? So this is like the key thing, the key message that I'm giving my readers, which aligns with this, right? So this is the key takeaway. Now, for instance, in another transformational post that I've done, where I spoke about how I went from, it's this one, where I went from my corporate job to now living as a digital nomad. The message here is, I quit. 4 years ago, I handed in my resignation. And the message here is, we are entering 2024. If you're a coach, if you have a laptop, if you have access to Wi-Fi, there are 0 excuses not to be successful and follow your dreams. This is a powerful end statement. This is like the main message that I wanted to bring across to people, that there's no excuses, and give them a sense of inspiration and a sense of that they can achieve the same thing. Now this post also goes further into like a freebie post, into training, but this is really the main message of the post here. Now, also your call to action will determine what type of post it will be. If your call to action is to send a DM or to download something or to sign up for your webinar, it automatically becomes a persuasion or sell post, right? You're asking a conversion from someone. So your call to action also determines what type of post it is. If your call to action or call to engagement, actually your call to CTE instead of CTA, is like, do you think that dating photography is a weird concept? Then you're asking for people to actually like reply to your comments or to reply to your posts and actually have them engage with your post. You're asking for engagement. So this will help you to get more traction, more engagement on your post, which the algorithm likes. So these are very important elements: your hook, your re-hook, the styling, the bullet punch closure, and obviously your picture, right? Your picture is also really important, because apart from like your copywriting, your picture also tells the story. Now there's professional pictures that you can use, and there's also like personal pictures that already tell a story by itself. And what I found from a lot of testing and experimenting, that like the personal pictures which tell a story often get the most traction. So here you see a pretty blonde woman taking a picture of me at the beach. So this is already telling a lot, right? This is already telling a lot in this particular post. The transformational post, you see me sad on the left hand and you see me being happy on a palm tree on the right hand side. This tells a story. This already tells a story in the brains of people when they look at this post, including like the years. Same here, you see me with shorter hair, in a suit, gray, somewhat smiling, not being too happy, and here behind some greenery, behind my laptop with a bottle of coconut water, smiling, generally being happy. So this also tells a story. So your pictures are of importance, which should complement the story that you want to be telling. And the more personal, maybe the more vulnerable your pictures are, the better for the engagement. So think about these elements when you're going to be writing your post. Now, posts that perform well, personal stories, your freebie posts, if you really share something of value that appeals to the masses, so to like a lot of people who want to have your meditation or who want to have your journaling exercise or who want to have something when it comes to marketing and sales, that really performs well because it applies to a lot of people. Transformational posts, these are just the posts that I just showed you. These posts, right, from A to B, from pain point to desired situation. Same here, these really perform well. And personal emotional pictures, well, we just touched upon this. Have a look also in like your Google photo or your personal archive, like what are pictures where I have a story to tell. I sometimes go through my pictures and then I end up with pictures which are telling a story by itself. I actually just posted something about it yesterday, coming up with this idea for a post where I went through, it was Father's Day yesterday, and came up with this picture of me and my brother helping my dad out, where he was actually fixing something in my house, shining some light, and I was like, oh yeah, I remembered calling him Super Daddy when I was young, because like this guy was able to do everything as being a successful entrepreneur. So this gave me inspiration for a post as well. And also this picture tells a story. So this can also be a way for you to come up with good stories that you want to be telling. Now, how do you then write a good post? Well, first off, you come up with a good content idea. Different ways for inspiration. I keep a chat with myself, so I just added myself to WhatsApp, and if an inspiration comes to mind, an inspiration for a new post, I would text this to myself, I would archive this. There's also ways of like going through your pictures and coming up with ideas, or go through your previous posts and see what you can repurpose. So make sure you have a good process in place to come up with a good content idea. Then you want to be looking for a good picture. Now these can be business pictures or these can be personal pictures. So the way that I structured it, right? So I have a photo shoot. So I have a whole bunch of like professional pictures here. And I also have a list of like informal pictures, right, that I can share, or that maybe is a story to tell. So there can be professional pictures. If you have them, I highly recommend to use these. If you don't have them, I highly recommend to do a personal photo shoot, because this also conveys the professionalism of your personal brand, but you want to mix this with some personal pictures as well. Start off with your hook, right? Really spend time and effort on writing your hook and writing your rehook. This really determines a lot of the success of your post. In the first 3 lines, they should keep the attention. So it's not just your hook and your rehook, it's also about the next few lines. If people read this and it's a really strong hook, but the rest is not keeping their attention, people will drop off. So in this case, it says, I'll be honest, that success is intimidating to me. So this creates curiosity, like why is it intimidating? It's somewhat vulnerable for me to admit that it was intimidating. And then I go into, I still remember his nickname, Super Daddy. So here it's already saying quite a bit, like, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be vulnerable, I'm admitting that it's intimidating, and I had a dad which I called Super Daddy. So this still keeps the attention of people. And then here I go into like some bullet points of what he was able to actually do. So it keeps the attention of the reader. So you don't want to just create a great hook and a rehook and then go into something completely irrelevant. You want to keep the attention of your reader. Think about the message that you want to give your reader at the end. What's the core message? This is really important. It's like the ending of a strong speech. What's the one blowout punch that you want to give to the people, to your readers? Then write your post. And often what I see, and I had that same challenge in the beginning, people want to put so much into their post, it becomes like a book. So you want to read your post, think about what's the one message you want to bring across to your reader, and then chuck out everything that is irrelevant. You want to make your post as long as it needs to be, but as short as possible. Anything that's not relevant, not contributing to your message, just take it out. And then reread the post and ask yourself, like, what do I feel? What do I think? If I would see this on my timeline, what would I think about this post? If you feel that this is good, well written, not too salesy, not too artificial. If you feel this is a good post, then most likely it will be a good post. Now some final tips. So use short sentences. Again, here in the post as well, LinkedIn likes short sentences varied with like longer sentences. Right, so this is short, this is a bit longer, this is one sentence, here's two sentences together, so it forms like a rhythm of writing. Add variation to your length. Powerful language, not like, oh, I think that once upon a time. No, use strong conveying language. Eliminate commas or like don't use them at all if you can, because it just adds up to the sentence. Make them shorter sentences, makes it easier to read. This is also a very important one. Like use simple words like you're talking to a 14-year-old, or like think about if you're sitting down with a friend in a pub and you're having a drink, like would you use these words that you're writing down? Often I see like very fancy language, very complicated words, ChatGPT type of stuff, which you actually wouldn't use if you're just talking to a friend or a 14-year-old. So for better readability, use bullet points, enough white lines. You can use bold if you want for like some, if you want to highlight some stuff. I wouldn't overdo it. What also works really well if you speak from the I perspective. So if you're talking about your own lessons, how I failed, how I gained 1,000 followers, how I meditate each morning, instead of like how to. So if you're educating people, like you're talking to them like how they should do something, that's something that they can Google or ChatGPT as well. If you speak from your own perspective, your own learnings, you are taking ownership of the story and it makes it more powerful. Also avoid using terms like we and us. You want to speak directly to your target audience, right? You don't want to make it generic. If people read it, they want to be spoken to directly, like you're speaking directly to them. So use words as you know, when you're going through this, when you cannot sleep, when you do this meditation, instead of we or us. That makes it too generic. And as already mentioned, make it as short as possible. Make it as short as can be and as long as it needs to be. Right? So you want to take out anything that's not relevant. So a lot of information in here. The key thing is to just get started. The first post, I remember, I think it took me 3 hours to write my first post because I was just overthinking everything. Do apply the learnings and the takeaways that you had from this video, even though it might be a lot. Copywriting is really a lot of repetition, just doing it, posting it, improving. And the good thing is that you will also get feedback from me or from a copywriter on your posts. So write the post, create about 5 posts for next week, send them to us, and you will get feedback on your post on what to further improve. And it's just a matter of keep doing it, keep writing, and you will further improve and you will see what works for your target audience. Now, I don't want to make this video too lengthy, so I'll just quickly run you through the appendix. What helped for me is to study some good copywriters. These are my favorite on LinkedIn. I would suggest you add them and see how they write their copy, how they write their post. There's a lot of learnings there as well to just study good copywriters. For the formatting, you can use Authored Up. As I said, I like the tool. It's about 20 euros per month. It's not a must-have, but it helps you with the styling to see how it looks on the different devices, as well as you can pre-plan, you can look at your analytics. It's a tool that I do recommend, but definitely not a necessity. And finally, the post objectives, you can have a further look here, enlarge it a little bit, but here you can see like the KPIs, the different types of posts that belong to the objectives of your post. So I found this one very useful for my own planning as well. That's why I'm sharing it here with you. So with this, you should have a lot of inspiration, a lot of insights into like how to write good copy with LinkedIn. Remember, it's just a matter of getting started, doing it, analyzing to see what works, make use of the different templates that I provided, like the tips and the insights here, as well as the hook and ending templates, and make sure to ask for my feedback on the post, and then you'll be an amazing copywriter in no time.